Hi everyone, welcome back to Is Knits. This is my YouTube channel. I am Is and I knit, and I talk about knitting ad nauseum. So if that's something you're interested in, keep watching and hopefully you gain some project inspiration or just have some company as you're knitting along. Today I'm going to try a standard knitting podcast format. I previously talked a bit about my projects from last year and my plans for this year. So now I'm going to keep you updated on all the progress that I'm making on those projects. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, buckle in, get yourself a cup of tea or coffee, and let's get to it. I've got a lot of knitting to talk about. I wasn't quite sure where to start, but I basically took my 2026 Roll to Knit knitting planning video as my 0 point, and I'm going to update you on everything that's happened since. It's been a couple months now, so there's a lot that's happened. I'm also back in the window where the lighting is way better. I apologize for the last video. I was editing it and I realized that was really not the right place to sit, which was my chair back there. My house has terrible lighting, so I really need to be face first into the window for you to be able to see me. So hopefully this is better. Hopefully you're excited to hear about all my knitting progress, and we'll get going. The first thing I wanted to talk about is what I'm wearing today. So I am wearing the Faya V cardigan. It's a really lightweight stockinette cardigan. The designer, I don't remember the designer. I'll put it somewhere. I knit this a couple years ago and South African yarn, surprise, surprise. This is one strand of Stucken Yarns silk mohair, and I dyed it this tealy color myself to match with the variegated, let's see if I can get this to focus, the variegated merino that I had. And this merino is from a yarn store I got it from a local yarn store in Cologne. I went there for a Christmas market a few years ago and checked out the local yarn stores, and this place was beautiful. I think this was actually their store yarn. It's called Ugly Bunny yarn, and it was this beautiful variegated. You can see there's some focus. There's some pinks, some yellows, some greens, but overall it's a bit bluey teal. So I dyed the mohair to match it, and I knit this. It's very lightweight, very flowy. I think it only used like less than 300 grams of yarn, and it's a great throw-on piece. Spud was sleeping, and as soon as I started talking to the camera, he woke up and is causing problems. So hopefully he'll be well behaved. Otherwise I'll have to put him in the other room. So that's what I am wearing. Let's get into the projects. I have 5 finished objects for you today. I have 3 whips and 1 new project that I'm about to cast on. The 5 projects are all quite small, but I was really motivated in the Roll to Knit at the beginning, and it's been about 2 months. So the next podcast, there probably won't be nearly as many, but for now it's exciting to show you them all. The first 2 actually are the same project, and I only have 1 of them because I gave the other away, and that is my red beanie. This is knit in 2 strands of Drops Air, and I followed the Musselburgh pattern, or Musselburgh, depending on who you ask. And this is a super, super chunky hat. I'm not going to try it on from my hair, but I hate knitting the beginning of a Musselburgh hat. So what I usually do is a provisional cast on in the middle and knit out and then decrease on either end. And for me, that works way better because I hate having to do magic loop in the beginning with tiny stitches and pinhole cast on and all of that. This used about 150 grams of Drops Air, so 3 skeins. It's chunky, but it's super cozy. It's super cute. I love this color, and I wore it a lot. Now it's starting to get warm. I'm not wearing it as much, but it was a staple in the first few months of the year. The other one I knit in a light blue color, and I gave to my friend Fenna. I think I took a photo of both of them together, but her birthday was in February, and so that was a gift for her, and she loved it and got a lot of wear out of it. So these were definitely a success. I like the Drops Air. This was a really quick and relatively cost-effective project. It's a great gift. I'll probably do this again in the future. The next finish object I have are my socks. So these are socks that the yarn was a gift from my friend Charlotte. So I call them the Charlotte socks. They are knit held double, so they're thick DK weight socks, and the toes and cuffs are knit in Hobby Unicorn. It's their sock merino base, and the rest of the sock is knit in Madeline Tosh. I don't know the colorway name, but it's a Madeline Tosh single ply fingering weight, so that's why I kind of wanted to hold it double in the hopes that it would pill a little bit less and be a little bit more long wearing. I have the other sock here just to prove that I knit both. But that was another relatively quick project that I knocked out in the first couple weeks of the year. And it felt good to get these off the needles. It felt good to think of my friend Charlotte as I was making them. And it felt good to have some cozy socks to wear in the cold months. The third project, I'm really ripping through these. Let me know if you want to hear more details about these. I don't know how people talk for 20 minutes about one project. I run out of things to say, but this is them. They're great. I have two more finished objects. One I don't have and is a knitting project, and one I do have and is a sewing project. You've probably seen hints of all of these on my Instagram and my shorts, but I thought it nice to put them all in one place. So the one I don't have, which is a knitting project, is a cable knit dog sweater for my friend's dog Shaki. I'll put a photo here. This sweater I was really excited about knitting, but it turned into a bit of a nightmare because I followed a free drops pattern and I didn't gauge swatch. The dog was tiny, so I said I'll just knit the smallest size and see what happens. But I don't know what dog is shaped like that pattern calls for, because basically what happened is the neck portion to where the armholes were was so long and so tight that I couldn't get his leg in. And so then I thought, okay, let me cut and steek this. So I cut up the sides on the belly of the sweater so that you could just button the stomach closed and you wouldn't have to pull the leg through. But then again, this length from the collar to the chest was so long. I don't know what dog has a neck that long. So I ended up having to steek it even further up, and it turned out okay in the end. I think it's cute. I would definitely take some lessons from it if I made it again. But in the end, he got a beautiful, cute little dog sweater. I was really ready to be done because it was knitting quite rustic, thick wool on small circumference cables. It was really fiddly. It made my hands hurt. I was really ready to be done with that project by the end, especially because it took 3 or 4 iterations. But Shaki has a dog sweater. It's adorable, and I checked it off the list finally. Now, the last FO I have to show you is my sewing project. And I mentioned this in the Roll to Knit video, where my mom is quite good at sewing, and she made me a couple pairs of pants, one for Christmas and one for my birthday, which is just around Christmas. And they're really lovely, and I wanted to learn how to make some myself. So I had her show me how to make them when she made the ones for my birthday, and then I tried to make another pair while I was still home for Christmas, and I got most of the way through. There were a few finishing things I needed to do after I came back, but I didn't have a sewing machine, so this project went on hold for a while until I could go to my friend's house and use their sewing machine. I now have my own sewing but I'll show you that at the end of the video. It's very exciting. But But I was able to finish these pair of pants, and I will show them to you. They're this amazing brownish red, oh my God, focus. Brownish red, green, black, and yellow plaid. And they're just a very simple wide leg elastic pant with a drawstring. And they're really long, and I love them. I love them. I love this style of pant. I kind of wish I knew how to do a zipper closure and a button, but that'll be level 2 or 3 or 4. But for my first project, I'm really happy with them. I love this style of pant, but I can never find ones that fit me because I have quite a big butt and hips and really long legs. So if something fits in the waist, there's no way I can get it over my butt. And if something fits in the butt, it's gapping in the waist. And regardless of that, they're always about 10 centimeters too short on me. So it's nice to be able to make your own and have them fit you properly. I definitely need to learn a bit more about tailoring, a bit more about the technique, but for a first one, I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I will maybe put a photo or a video in here so you can see what they look like on. I tend to just style it with like a cream sweater or something simple on top because these pants are quite extreme. Maybe not extreme, but they're a cool pattern, and I wear them with some black Doc Martens, and I really love it. So that's my first sewing project. I hope there are many more sewing projects to come because at this point I have a lot of sweaters and I really like making my own wardrobe. So I think sewing's a good next step to be able to expand what I'm able to make for myself and continue making clothes that fit me and are tailored to me and my style. So that was very exciting. That's my FOs. That was 5 FOs in 10 minutes. I think that's pretty good. And I will now talk about my whips. I have 3 whips. If you see me looking off to the side, it's because I have my notebook there, so sorry about that. I have 3 whips to talk about that I have made progress on since my last video. I'm not going to talk about all the ones that I went through that I haven't worked on, just the ones that I've worked on. So the first one was the very first thing I rolled for Roll to Knit, and this was a new cast on. It was a black basic cardigan knit in Drops Air. I basically at the beginning of the year ordered a ton of Drops Air because I wanted to try it, and I'm now on my 3rd project with it. I really like it. I'm not sure how it's going to wear over time, especially in a cardigan. I think for a hat it'll be fine, but I have a feeling this is going to really shed and maybe get thinner over time because it's a blown yarn and the fibers on those tend to fall out. And indeed, I'm already itching my nose because I'm inhaling the Drops Air fibers. But yeah, so I am knitting a basic black stockinette cardigan. I saw a few cardigans online. Well, let me show you if this will focus. No. Okay, we're just gonna cut that out. I saw a few cardigans online that I liked the style of, but I've also been trying to get better at self-drafting patterns. So I actually decided to self-draft this pattern, and it's going pretty well. I mean, it's a boxy, oversized cardigan, so with self-drafting, there's quite a lot of room for error. And I've basically just been doing my math, trying it out, trying it on as I go. I've actually decided to make a separate video for how I'm self-drafting this for anybody that might want to learn about how to self-draft or follow along in the process. I'm gonna make a more detailed video about this in the future. I filmed a few pieces already, so if that's something you're interested in watching, please let me know, leave a comment, and I will continue / be extra motivated to do so. But yeah, so this is a drop shoulder. So basically what I did is I started in the back, I cast on at the neck across the shoulders, I did some short rows, and then knit down to the bottom of the armhole, and then I picked up on the shoulders, knit forward, increased to do the crew neck neckline, and then continued down to the bottom of the underarm. Joined in the round, well, not really in the round because it's a cardigan, but joined all the pieces together and knit the body. What I tend to do for my sweaters, because I'm quite tall, so my arms are very long, so I much prefer a sweater to have full length sleeves and be a little bit cropped, kind of like this one. I think that's pretty flattering on my body type. So I much prefer that than to finish the body and realize I don't have enough yarn to finish the sleeves. So what I always do when I make a top-down sweater is I get to where it joins under the underarm, I finish whatever ball of yarn I'm working on, and then I knit the sleeves, finish the sleeves, and then come back and knit the body. Because then if I'm a little bit short, usually it's not as noticeable on the body, as opposed to 3 inches of sleeve yarn versus that goes like maybe 1 inch on the body. It's not as noticeable, and I prefer crop. So this works out for me. I did the sleeves, I decreased along the sleeve and did a pretty, let's see, focus, a pretty long cuff. I did a Italian, actually did a tubular bind off because the Drops Air felt a little flimsy, so I did a couple rows of double knitting to make it a bit more structural. And I did a tubular bind off on the cuffs. I'm going to continue knitting down the body, do the same ribbing pattern and tubular bind off on the bottom, and then I'm going to knit the button band and do the neck. I think I'm going to do a double knit button band and a ribbed crew neck double folded collar, but we'll see. I might change my mind. That's the nice thing about self-drafting. I'm just seeing how it goes, trying it on, and so far so good. I'm knitting this on a 5mm needle. That's the best gauge I got for Drops Air, and held single, and I did the ribbing on a 4mm, size 6, I believe. So I'll keep you updated on how this is going. I think this is going to be a great staple in my wardrobe, and keep an eye out for a more in-depth video on the self-drafting process of this. All right, next one is my Battenberg blanket. And I started this project back in 2022 as a way to use up all of my scraps. I'm gonna put this off to the side, as a way to use up all of my scraps. And it's been next to my couch for the last 4 years, slowly growing and growing. And this year and a bit last year, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this to be done. I'm ready for it to be on my couch instead of next to my couch. So I really focused in on it, and I rolled it over and over again for my roll to knit. And I'm so close to being done. Let me show you. I'm going to show you a bit here, and then I will probably insert a clip somewhere of standing up and showing this to you because it's massive. This is my Battenberg blanket. It's huge. It will ultimately be, I think, about 2 meters by 2 meters. So it'll be able to fit on a queen size bed, maybe even a king size. It would be maybe a bit small for a king size, but it's made up of 625 squares. So it's 25 by 25, and each square I crocheted individually, these colorful ones, and then connected them with the cream. I used a combination of leftovers, if I had fingering weight or DK weight scraps. I used them to make the colorful squares. I used a 4mm crochet hook and fingering weight held double, sometimes DK weight, but I preferred fingering weight held double. So I used a combination of scraps from projects, souvenir skeins, like bits that I got when I went on a trip. And so I got a little, if they had a mini skein of yarn just to remember that trip by, and kind of mini packs that I had fun finding and crocheting up. I had some sock yarns in here. I have all sorts of things. So it's a big mess of all different colors, got everything from bright to muted to neon to every color of the rainbow. And I love that. I finished every single colorful square last week or the week before, and I'm now just in the process of crocheting all of them together, and I am so close. I am 11 white squares away. So I will cut to the other video. I finished making a separate square that was the last chunk, and now I'm just connecting it on, so I only have one like column of white squares to crochet left, and then I'm gonna be done. Well, I'll do a border and then I'm gonna be done, but I'm so excited about that. I think I have plenty of yarn left. I ordered a bunch of this Drops Fable in just the standard natural cream color to finish up all these white squares. I've used a few different yarns throughout the years for it, but this one was cheap and worked well for this. So I just ordered, I think, 11 balls. And I have 11 squares left and 2 balls left. Each ball I can get 10 to 11 squares out of. So I think, hopefully, I'll be able to finish the squares and maybe do 1 row of single crochet around the border with the cream. And then what I'm going to do is take this rainbow multi DK weight yarn and do some sort of border. It's not going to be big because I only have 1 skein, but just something simple to tie it all together. This yarn I actually bought recently because I had, I think, 6 or 7 squares left to crochet, and I didn't have any scraps left, and I just wanted it to be done. So I bought this. I said, okay, it's color changing. I'll get a bunch of different colored squares out of it. I'll finish it up, and then I'll be able to finalize this blanket. And that's what I did. And then I think it'll be nice to use this on the border to tie it all together in the end. So that's my Battenberg blanket. It's huge. It's heavy. It's, I think, ultimately going to be close to 3 kilos of yarn. So it's kind of a combo handmade weighted blanket in a way. Crochet uses so much more yarn than knitting, and I'm not really a crocheter. I wasn't used to it, so I really ate through so much yarn in this project. But I'm really excited to have it on my couch and have it be nice and cozy, just in time for the weather to get warm again. But this blanket, I think, is going to be one of those things that stays in my house and in my life and maybe in my family for a long time. As long as the moths don't get it. I did find 1 moth hole, and I'm really hoping that it's in the past. Like, it was one of the older squares. So I'm hoping that it happened a long time ago. I froze it, everything. I'm now keeping a close eye in case there's bugs, you know? That's the knitter's worst nightmare. All right, that's done. The last whip I wanted to talk to you about is the project for my mom. So if you're my mom, stop watching here. I'll put a timestamp here of when it's safe to return. Okay, give her a second. Now it's safe, hopefully. I made some good progress on my mom's cardigan, but I don't have very much to show for it. So basically what happened is I cast it on and I started knitting the body for this cowl sweater. I'll put it here. And I started the color work, and it takes a really long time because there's over 300 stitches in the body on, what size are these? 3.25 millimeter needles. And so I was working my way through the color work, and I got a few like rows into it, and I thought, I don't really like this color combination. So then I ripped it out, and I was humming and hawing about what to do for the color work. And I was putting all these different combinations together and trying to figure it out. And then I finally decided I finally decided what I thought was a better color combination. So I decided to start with the sleeve because it's a much smaller circumference. And so I can see much faster whether I like the color combination. And then once I do that, I can go and knit the body. But this took a little bit of mathing and figuring out because the way this sweater is constructed is it's knit bottom up and steeked, and then stitches are picked up at the arm and the sleeves are knit down. However, I'm using a bunch of leftover yarns from my dad's vest that I knit last year. So I don't have this right amounts of each of the colors. So I'm kind of seeing how and what colors I want to use on which pieces of the color work as I go and seeing how much I use up. So if I decide I want to use this color in 3 parts of the color work, but it only gets me through 2 of them, I'm going to have to use a different color because I want to use up as much of this as possible. So what I decided to do, which might be a little bit chaotic or psychotic, or I don't know, is I'm going to knit the sleeves bottom up at the same time as the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit the first sleeve to test out what the color looks like. And if I like that, then I'm going to knit that piece of color work, each band, on the body and the other sleeve. And then I know if I have enough yarn to do the next band in the colors that I want. So this might take forever. It's a pain in the ass to knit this tiny circumference on color work. I don't have the right needles for it. I don't have 3.25 millimeter shorties. So I'm having to kind of knit it magic loop at first, and knitting color work magic loop is horrible. But I hope that it will be worth it in the end. We'll see. So this is my mom's cardigan. I promise I did more than this, but this is where we're at so far. This dark green color is going to be the main color for the body, held with this light pink for the motif. And then I'm going to use a combination of these pinks and oranges. There's some reds, there's some browns, there's grays. So I'm going to use a combination of these for the color work bands. And the first section I'm using these 4 colors. And then my idea is to slowly get like darker towards the center of the color work and fade back out into light. So I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to use, where is it? This one, and then I might use this one again, and then this one again. So it's kind of cohesive, but that depends on how much yarn I have. So stay tuned on this. I think this is going to be quite a long-term project. I think my mom's a little bit antsy about it, but I finished my dad's vest 3 years after I told him I'd make it. So hopefully she has realistic expectations, and I don't think this will take 3 years. So that's my mom's cardigan. I almost said vest. And that's all of my whips. I'm going to continue knitting and working on all of these, but this week for my roll to knit, I rolled for a new cast on. So I rolled to work with this cotton yarn. It's this beautiful teal color. My friend Lara went to Vietnam last year, and she got this for me, and it was really lovely, and she gave it to me as a birthday present. So thank you, Lara. I'm really excited to knit with this. This is, as far as I know, 100% cotton. It's quite thin. It's about a fingering weight, I would assume. So I have 4 balls of this that are 50 grams each and approximately 200 and something meters. I don't have ball bands for this, so it's all approximate, but I should be able to get some sort of tee out of it. And I just decided today that the project I'm going to cast on for this is the Campanula tee by Cupid Knits. It's this really cute mixed rib t-shirt with kind of a lettuce hem, like a ruffle hem on the sleeves and the neck and the bottom. And I think it'll look gorgeous in this color. I think it'll be perfect for summer, especially if I get a bit of a tan. I think this color will look better on me. But yeah, so I'm gonna cast that on literally right after I finish talking to you guys, and we'll see how it goes. I'll update you in my weekly one on Sunday. This, I think the perfect project for this, I needed to do a top-down tee because since I don't know how the meterage works, top-down's easier. If it ends up cropped, it ends up cropped. I find a lot of summer tops and tanks are bottom up, and I hate that because especially for tanks and tops, I think I'm more likely to be trying to squeeze a top out of 1 or 2 skeins of yarn. And I don't mind a crop top, but if you get here going bottom up and you run out of yarn, then you have to start over. I'd much rather start top down, and if it's cropped, it's cropped, and if it's full length, it's full length. So I find it weird. I know the construction's a bit easier to do bottom up for tanks and tees, but people need to design more top-down tanks and tees. Maybe I should get into doing that. But that's the good thing about the Campanula tee. It's top-down, contiguous construction, so it uses increases and short rows to shape the shoulders, and then it just continues down in this mixed rib pattern. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how long this t-shirt ends up. Hopefully it's not too cropped because I'm quite tall, but I think it'll be cute. I don't mind a crop top. So that's my new cast on that will be a new cast on today. I actually have the needles right here and I'm going to do it as soon as I turn this off. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's all the knitting I have to share with you today. I don't have any new yarn acquisitions, but I have a very, very exciting sewing acquisition. I will probably cut to some other video because I can't show it to you. I can't bring it over, but my friend gave me a vintage Singer sewing machine. Their grandparents moved into some assisted care, so they were starting the process of cleaning out their house, and they asked me if I wanted this sewing machine, and it's beautiful. It's a hand crank sewing machine. It doesn't even have a foot pedal, or it's not electric at all. I looked up the serial number and it was manufactured in 1917 in Scotland, and it's truly a work of art. I am really looking forward to it. I'm going to clean it up a bit. It still works, but I want to clean it up and oil it to make sure I'm taking care of it. And then I will have a sewing machine to use. The hand crank I'm definitely going to try out, but I also have an idea to electrify it. I am by training a mechanical engineer, so I think it's well within my capability to find some sort of mechanism that I can attach a motor to the crank and add a drive belt and a varying voltage pedal, and I should be able to make it electrified and foot pedaled pretty easily. I think the main challenge is going to be making sure I do it in a removable way that's not going to damage the sewing machine, because I want it to stay in its condition. I want it to still be usable as a vintage machine and not damage it or screw into it. So as long as it's removable, I'm going to try to electrify it. That'll be another fun project. Add it to the list of the million projects I have going. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. Maybe I'll keep you updated on my sewing journey as well. I have a million other projects going at all times. I have plans to build a cat tower for my cat. I have plans to renovate my balcony so that my cat can go out there and not fall to his death. I have lots of plans. I always have millions of projects going at once. I know this channel is for knitting, but if you're interested, if you're still here and listening after 35 minutes, that's great. And if you're interested in seeing more of my other projects that I work on, some of my more random home improvements, engineering, sewing, crafty, whatever, leave a comment. Let me know if you're interested in that, and I will add it to this channel and make videos about it. I'm really enjoying this so far. I didn't quite know how I would feel making YouTube videos, but I thought it might be fun. And so far, so good. I have 30 subscribers now, which is very exciting. I will continue to do this as long as you guys continue watching and continue enjoying. Let me know what you'd like to see, and if you're not subscribed already, please do so, because that gives me the motivation to keep going, that someone's enjoying this. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Happy knitting, everyone. So this is the sewing machine. Look how beautiful. Isn't it incredible? Don't worry, I took this off because I'm gonna clean it. There is a foot and a needle, and it does work, but it's a hand crank one. It's so beautiful. And there's a little thing there, and this storage underneath. I can't wait to use it. And then look at these. Look at those details. Beautiful.